Are you on the edge of your seat? Because we're about to sound off with Kevin Williams, covering today's latest trends in location-based entertainment. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire. All right, everyone, let's buckle up.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to Sound Off with Kevin Williams. This is number 72. And man, we are ready to roll. How are you feeling, Kevin?
I am ready to roll. And I have something on my mind.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. What do you have on your mind?
Well, I think I have, I'm going to stick a flag in the ground and say that we're in the experiential business. We're not in the immersive business. We are in the entertainment business, but I think that what we're trying to achieve is experiences, positive experiences, and maybe using the word experiential that hasn't been hijacked recently by any other industry would be a good time for us to define our offering, harking back to a previous sound off where we touched upon this.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the reasons why we originally set up the LBX Collective versus the LBE Collective or something else. I mean, obviously LBX sounds better than LBE from a brand standpoint, but really the main reason is location-based experiences and not just location-based entertainment. And I think, so I completely agree that we are and have been for quite some time in the experiential business. We maybe have just not quite claimed that word as part of what it is that we are delivering. We talk about delivering a great customer experience or a great guest experience. And so ultimately that is what we are doing, is we are providing experiences to our guests, and hopefully those experiences may be immersive, they may be entertainment driven, they may be active, they may be interactive, it may be any number of those things, but they are ultimately experiences that we are bringing our guests into.
Some of them may be immersive, some of them may not. Some of them may be gamified or interactive, some of them may be passive. But we are offering an experience, and we're asking our guests to pay for that experience. I would like to try and get our industry to embrace this, but knowing how fickle our industry is about embracing anything that is unusual, it may be an uphill struggle, but I think it's a struggle that we need to consider.
Yeah, well, it's been hard enough to get the industry at large to move away from FEC, let alone LBE, to then talking about something at a higher plane as experiential.
If it generates revenue, I'm sure they'll jump straight into using it. We will have to see. But, for those of you that need the definition of where experiential fits into the lexicon, it does seem to sum up our industry very well. But anyway.
Yes. All right. Well, that being said, we'll dive into some tariff trends after the quick break. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Well, thank you, Intercard, and straight into the tariffs. And we've touched upon it on the open and shut, but some of the recessional markers or barometer checklists are beginning to be seen, partly due to the impacts of the current financial situation globally, and also due to what's happening in North America. One of the clearest examples of how the tariffs are actually impacting is that we're seeing announcements of certain restaurant facilities feeling the pinch in the hospitality sector, as well as some of the closings. We've also, we're talking about closings in the sector, as well as layoffs in the sector. And Las Vegas has been hit by a number of layoffs as owners of facilities prepared themselves for a downturn in tourism, but also wanting to save money by cutting some of the overheads. some of those overheads cuts were linked to the Resort World layoffs, and Resort World, of course, was linked to the Mr. Beast debacle. So giving us a little bit more transparency on what might have actually caused the total collapse of the Mr. Beast experience at the Resort World hotel. Let's hope that they have sorted out all of their situations before we hold the next Amusement Expo International there.
Yeah. The one thing I'll just say about the about the Resorts World layoff specifically, I think from what we'd covered, or you had covered on the Open and Shut on the LBX show just a couple of days ago, the layoffs were driven most likely from a money laundering issue that they ran into. And I would imagine that these employees were somehow related to that issue. We'll wait and see if there was some, if there are some, further conviction, or at least indictments that happen as a result of this thing. But I think it was probably not the layoffs themselves that created potentially the Mr. Beast. Is the ripple effect. It was the overall chaos of being investigated by the Gaming Commission and everything else that happened around at the same time that probably was maybe more of the inciting event that caused the chaos for the Mr. Beast.
And all of those people that are banging the comment section now or shouting at their tablets or phones, yes, I understand that you cannot lay this at the tariff door, but it is the total malaise and the financial instability that is adding to the situation and has exacerbated what we're seeing here with the layoffs as well as the closings. One of the things we can lay at the door of the tariff situation is the impact on shipping. We are getting reports now that the ports of LA, as well as other North American seaboards, are seeing a 50 to 60% drop in China shipments, and we're seeing a 10% overall increase in blank sailings. Blank sailings being the cancellations of planned transport ships to various harbors. The map that you see down there is a snapshot from China of all of the shipping being dispatched during a normal weeks of activity, and the number of the black holes. You won't be able to see it on that picture, but I can supply a link showing all of the ones that are going to North America is, as we've said, at least 50% down on what would be expected. And those ships that are still planning to go to North American ports are not fully laden as they would normally be expected. I'm led to believe that we will start to see the impacts on the shelves of the supermarkets and the grocery stores within the next week compared to when we're recording and shipping out this. And from our point of view in the industry, we are going to start hearing about the increases in planned prices for products that had been previously agreed at IALPA or Amusement Expo, as well as the delivery dates. I know one particular amusement product, new video game offering, is going to be extended by an extra month due to what's going on, and their price is going up by 5%. But I won't talk about that. I might leave that to Adam to talk about that when we finally get the information, as that is a direct relationship to the amusement side. Concerning, to say the least, but not surprising. We knew that this was going to be part of the impact of these developments.
Yeah, and what a couple of reports I've heard, I mean, we have had basically a nearly effective embargo on China, on China's goods. I mean, the tariffs have gotten to the point where we've effectively embargoed them. And one of the concerns that at least people in and around the port and shipping industry is that the ports, the shipping industry in general have been developed and built around a steady flow of products, and not the down and up and down and up in large swings. So even if the tariffs were to get fixed tomorrow, for example, and things were to finally start flowing, you're still going to see a significant long-term impact on, from these tariffs on the shipping industry and how product will ultimately get to shelves or get to warehouses to be deployed.
We are going to be seeing the ripples from this leading up to Christmas. I know the president has suggested that the number of dolls that some children will be receiving this Christmas may be limited, but I think there will be other items that will be limited. We will
one thing. One thing I'll just say to that, because that was I heard the same comment. Instead of kids having 30 dolls, they can be just as happy with 2. And that's true from a consumer culture, but our consumer culture drives everything else from a downstream. Who sells the hair that goes into the dolls that get bought? Who sells the clothing that, the dolls that are distributed and purchased? Who's the small business owner that owns that doll manufacturer, and the shipping and all the other components that touch all aspects of livelihoods for employees at those companies and employers of those companies that manufacture those dolls. And so, yes, while a consumer may not be able to have everything they want on the shelves, there's a massive downstream impact to small business owners and large business owners as a result of these as well. And that is the thing that he is completely overlooking, or at least not willing to talk about.
The briefings do not want to touch upon those. Relaying this back to our industry, those dolls are the merch. And I would just point out that it is very unusual to see an unbranded, unmerchandised, un-IP'd doll being sold to this market. So even the impact of the people who put the hair on, make the plastic, create the boxing, or store the toys goods, there's also going to be an IP owner that is not going to be receiving the same amount of money. These ripples will be felt for some time to come. Moving away from the world of fun and thrills to the area of our biz. And hey, it's Genda again. Let's call this the Genda Weekly Show.
Just have a standing segment every, we should have our own segment just to talk about what Genda is doing.
So in Sound Off, we're talking about M&A, and in Open and Shuts, we're talking about new facilities opening, all under the Genda. They have become a major powerhouse over a period of time, and they have announced 2 acquisitions. One is related to their IP and branded operation. They partnered with another company, and here they've partnered with Ban, who are famous for their karaoke booths in the Japanese region. I haven't got a full number of how many karaoke dens that Genda is now controlling, but their overall operation is about 11,000 facilities. So a percentage of that, I would assume, is part of their gaming or part of their karaoke operation. It just seems to constantly be happening, and I'm led to believe that we will be having another North American facility announcement regarding Genda in the coming months. So watch this space. An interesting pop-up development. Our friends at Lego decided to create a pop-up entertainment venue in Orlando, and they created a Brickade, a building block arcade. Multiple zones, 3 in all. They created a Lego-infused mini golf experience. They also had a Lego-inspired design and build and racing area, and they had a Lego arcade with arcade-inspired Lego cabinets and a bit of amusement. I could see what they created working quite well as a standalone operation rather than a pop-up, but it was interesting that their marketing team decided to go down that path.
Yeah, and maybe this is just one of those where they are testing the waters, seeing, hey, is there a possibility of doing a type of retailtainment destinations? And so this could be them testing models and seeing what will eventually become their version of a physical permanent LBE installation.
The same way we saw Netflix undertake testing the water with their pop-up installations, I wouldn't be surprised here.
We've seen the same thing with Mattel and Hasbro doing their doing things as well, pop-up Monopoly events, etc.
It is, what is it? A pat on the back is a recce for a knife. They are feeling the water, as it were. Though, what they take away from this information doesn't mean instantaneously that they'll open up a facility, but it all goes into the melting pot. We touched upon this in Open and Shut. Most of us are returning from Deal, the Dubai Entertainment Expo, and one of the major exhibitors there is a company called ASI, which is a distributor who represents a lot of the products from the North American and European market into the Dubai and Saudi Arabian entertainment sector. And they have partnered with some investors to open up the first major competitive socializing venue for Dubai. This is a major development. This site called Hush will see it has thrown its doors open already, sees the first duck-pin bowling installation in the Middle East. It has augmented reality darts. It has shuffleboard. It also has amusement machines in there, F&B, a cigar lounge with whiskey tasting. And rather than having food actually as part of the venue, it is in a district or in a special area where they have access to about 22 gourmet restaurants that will deliver food to you. So an unusual entrance for competitive socializing into an interesting territory, and as the territory changes to become more inclusive of hospitality, Hush is one of the first of those venues to benefit from that, receiving a special license to be able to open from 12 in the afternoon till 2 in the morning. Moving on, and more partnerships and franchise deals. We're really seeing the franchise of these brands taking hold. Our friends at Immersive Gamebox has signed a deal again in the UAE with Apparel Group, well known for operating about 60 different clothing retail brands within the sector. The whole of the Dubai and Saudi sector is mall intensive. They have some of the best, brightest and most impressive shopping malls in the world, and these malls act as their own destinations. And so along with the retail stores, entertainment is being added, what I would call retail attainment. And so these units are being turned not into just clothing stores and watch stores, but also into entertainment experiences. And so we can expect the high profile malls in certain of these areas to be receiving a immersive game box.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly know the mall real estate market very well. The number of locations that they're in. I think they currently manage or own operate 2,300 stores as of last year, according to what I'm looking up here. But none of their brands are entertainment brands.
This is their first.
This will be an interesting partnership. I hope it works out for Apparel Group. It certainly sounds like it's worked out well for Immersive Gamebox. So congrats to them for inking this deal. But hopefully Apparel Group will learn very quickly how to manage an entertainment destination.
The Dubai sector is populated with some very intelligent individuals that understand the entertainment mix within malls. We have a number of very successful mall amusement facilities throughout that region and that territory. I hope they're willing to listen to the advice that they will receive from the sector. Moving on and talking about the franchise, and we're seeing all of the key operations now throwing heavy investment at their franchising business. So rather than operating the facilities themselves, they're depending on franchises to bring in the bread and butter. Our friends at Sandbox VR, we've touched upon their LOL Entertainment relationship. We talked about their Philadelphia facility. They also have a relationship with Time Zone. Activate, they have their partnership in the UK. We do play, and we actually stuck our noses into the O2 facility. It's just been announced that another UK facility, I think in Birmingham, has been confirmed for Activate. And of course, Dave & Buster's India has just announced the second facility in Mumbai to complement their 15 facility rollout that they're planning for the diaspora. as well as their plans for Australia. So we are really in the white heat moment of franchising location-based entertainment. My concern is, I always have a concern, is how much these models are adjusted and customized for the territories that they're going into, because anyone that thinks it's just easy to take a North American brand and parachute it into Australia or into India or even into the UK is mistaken. And there will be some regional alterations needed, and also the need to not throw the baby out with the bathwater when you're making those changes. From what I've seen of the first Dave & Buster's India, it is a very impressive mix between the American side and what the Indian audience needs. And our friends at Sandbox VR didn't really have to change that much other than the entertainment component content, because they're offering quite a dry branding mix. Same with Activate. I don't think they made very major changes to the London facility opening compared to their 30-odd facilities in North America. But it is mindful that, as we've seen with Chuck E. Cheese in the UAE, sometimes the brand can take a life on of its own and be changed quite drastically compared to the original concept. Moving on and continuing with the franchising, we get an example of the retail attainment and how it is working in certain territories. In the UK, the Gateshead Metro Centre Mall, quite a large mall, has been working to include some kind of entertainment or retail attainment component to its mix to increase its dwell time and to address the need of encouraging the audience to come back. And so added to this mix, they've already had Escapology, they've already had a Namco Fun Station, which is an arcade, they've had Clip and Climb, an activity experience, they've even had mini golf, tree golf. Now they're adding an Activate, which will be, I think, the third Activate in the mix. Now, how that will fare, from the list of entertainment there, it is quite a diverse mix, so I don't see too many of them treading on each other's toes. That said, all it takes is for the Namco Fun Station to add karaoke, and then all hell will break loose. But it is an example of how the mall industry is embracing entertainment as a support or anchor to their retail component.
I would also say that this is also the only way that these individual brands can stand on their own. So a Clip and Climb on its own in its own venue, or a Treetop Golf, or an Activate. We talked about this before. Single traction models really work, but in a multi-gate scenario like a Metro Center where people are there and they can do an Activate, and then the kids can run over and do Clip and Climb, or you can have multiple visits and try different experiences, is one of the areas where this type of thing can work. And this is a little bit related to the previous slide where you were talking about We Do Play and LL Entertainment, and each of these on their own have multiple brands that they can bring to a particular retail environment. And this is one thing I do know that LL Entertainment, one of the tactics that they've taken is, knowing that Sandbox VR as a standalone in Philadelphia would may or may not do well. But if they can have a Sandbox VR alongside a Time Mission, alongside other brands of theirs, then it can work, because they can leverage co-marketing, cross-pollination of customer databases, et cetera, to promote some of the additional brands and have them in the same region and areas.
If you know your history about Dave & Buster's, you know that a arcade run by one of the founders sat next door to a popular restaurant, and they fed off of each other, and they said, hey, let's hold the party here. And they brought the components together to create Dave & Buster's. We will be seeing that happen again. It is natural selection. One of the things we also touched upon in the Open and Shut was the news that Five Irons has now admitted that they're fully establishing themselves into the FEC market. As Brandon was touching upon, the single entertainment venue model is a dangerous one to walk if you're trying to increase dwell time and repeat visitation. So our friends at Five Irons have been playing around with the concept of Detroit bowling, which is a unique duck pin bowling arcade FEC concept, which they have been parachuting in kind of a pop-up temporary approach at some of their Five Iron golf facilities. Well, now they've bitten the bullet and they've admitted that their next facility will be a dedicated FEC that will have the golf simulator bays. It will have the dedicated duck pin bowling in it. It will have F&B. It will have amusement. This is quite a big pivot for our friends at Five Iron Golf, moving from the hallowed grounds of being a golf simulator facility to entering the FEC market. And I wonder if this is going to be the point where they suddenly pivot, as the comment by their management says, a major evolution for the brand. And while we're talking about where they're going, the space that they're going to be populating in Ohio with this brand new Five Irons FEC in Shaker used to be 1899 Golf and Social Club, which is a golf simulator facility that found it difficult in this particular locality to keep the dwell time going and to keep the audiences. And so suddenly they decided to shut. They still have two facilities operational, but their third one here at Shaker Heights, they decided to close, and Five Irons jumped straight in with both feet to take this 17,000 square foot multi-level environment. And as you can see from the last photos taken within the 1899 facility before it is being retrofitted into the FEC, there's a lot of space to play in regarding what they want to achieve here. Not the world's largest FEC, but a good foundation concept facility to prove the concept.
Yeah, this is interesting. I was curious if I was looking around at the 1899, if mini duck pin bowling was a part of their original mix, and it doesn't look like it was. It looks like it was really truly just a golf sim and F&B place. It actually looked really nice to go and visit there. But I just wondered if Five Iron was parachuting in and they were leveraging duck pin just because it was already there, and so that's what they decided to add that as part of their mix, or if they made the conscious decision to bring duck pin into their golf simulator bays. And I feel like it's maybe a bit of an odd additional attraction to drop in from versus some of the other types of simulator or bay style games that they could have dropped in, a 501 games type scenario or something like that.
They needed something to stand out for Five Irons. They have two types of clientele. They have the VIP private group, want to have cocktails and shenanigans and play some golf. And we have the other players, which are the drop-in, have a go and go. They obviously must want to try and keep the dwell time up, and they want to have some family element. And so adding a FEC component would bring a greater audience catchment. But as I say before, they may throw the baby out with the bathwater. The thing that made it unique for the lads' time out, having a few cocktails and playing a few holes of virtual golf, may be put off if there's lots of children running around, or if the mix of audience there is too busy playing the duck pin bowling and trying out the nachos than wanting to do the Sims. We will have to wait and see what the finalized version of the Five Irons FEC is. Diversification is essential when you want to grow a brand like this. So they would have had to have made a decision on an additional entertainment component. And this is a starting point. From what I've seen of the Detroit bowling concept, it's no great shakes, but it is suitable enough to be used in a competitive socializing environment. It will be interesting to see how many of the other golf simulator venues also see this and decide to broaden their wings. Our friends at Top Golf have their golf simulator suites. We have our ex-golf companies out there. There's about, on my database, I have about 14 or 15 chains of golf simulator operations in North America. Maybe it's time now for these sites to offer something more than a projector and a couple of clubs. Moving to the tech trends, past a couple of days ago, happy National Darts Day, Brandon. Not something that's on my calendar, but as we had to mark Skee Ball National Day a couple of episodes back, there's a anniversary a celebration for every sport and activity. Darts is an important one for us in the location-based entertainment, especially in the competitive socializing sector, be it facilities such as Flight Club, or be it platforms such as 501 Fun and Social Gaming and Lasertron. Lasertron's system is the most gamified, projection-mapped darts application, I think, that's out there, where our friends at Social Gaming offer a normal darts system that has been slightly gamified in the scoring process. And then our friends at 501 meet in the middle. There are also the traditional amusement darts systems, the soft-tipped ones that are very popular in the amusement sector, as well as the tournament systems. And I would be remiss if I don't mention our friends at Sega Japan and the darts live tournament systems that they have in their territory, which are incredibly popular, and I would say an equal following to what we see in North America with Golden Tee Golf. Darts is important to us, and we need to recognize that the audience that comes to our competitive socializing and entertainment facilities can always be suckered into throwing a couple of arrows. Looking at the broader gamification of some of the competitive socializing elements, our friends at Funk have rolled out their latest duck pin bowling system, which marries a lot of the, what I would say, social gamification elements, the projection mapping and the touchscreens, all the flashy elements that we see with the bowling experience. The gravity bowling experience is now being applied to the duck pin. We've also seen Brunswick do this with their duck pin social platform. We can expect to see a lot more facilities parachuting in duck pin bowling, as we've just talked about with our friends at 501, but they're going to have to make sure that they're much more boutique bowling rather than traditional bowling. And talking about parachuting in entertainment that is compelling, we've seen an explosion recently in LED display technology being applied in location-based entertainment, be it our friends at Conductor with their game arena, the arena, as well as with their illuminated glow court active entertainment. We are also now seeing immersive enclosures moving away from projection mapping and being superseded now by LED screens or OLED screens as they become cheaper, robust enough, and much more compelling. It is an aspect of our industry that we need to keep a very close eye on, that the projector is going to be replaced by the LED screen, and that phygital environment has just got a little bit brighter.
Yeah, and it will not be just walls. I mean, obviously the arena has the LED floors, the interactive LED floors as well as the glow court that Conductor and Conductor/Game Bolt are playing around with. And yeah, the days of the projector projection mapped or projector are very, very limited. They're counting down.
Companies like Christie, I think, have seen the writing on the wall as they have now pivoted heavily into supporting their projection business with also installing LED displays. The time where I would be proposing to a client to put LED screens into their immersive environment, where I'd be shot down because the projector supplier would be stabbing me in the back and trying to tell the client that you can't trust LEDs, hopefully it's coming to an end. And I expect IALPA in November to be blinding with LED applications. Talking about Dave & Buster's, especially the arena that Conductor had developed was one of those entertainment aspects going into the social bays that were part of the previous management's redesigning. As we covered in the last sound off, Dave & Buster's current interim executives have shot the previous management out of a cannon and thrown them under the bus, as if you can mix all of those metaphors. And they are now in the process of rolling back previous ideas and components. How much of that is going to affect the two new biggest rollouts in previous Dave & Buster's trajectory at that point is going to be seen. One of the biggest pushes that was recently happening was their partnership with the Ultimate Fighting Championship and the specially created game experience, tournament game experience that are being created for that. And is going to be rolled out across numerous facilities, as well as the rebranded and reactivated development of their competitive socializing concept through social bays. I think from the source, I'll reiterate, from the sources that we have spoken to, I am taking away the idea that everything has been put on hold while a root and branch evaluation is being made of that. I will be interested to see how many of these systems survive in their current iterations once the dust settles.
Yeah. As I mentioned in my commentary after Adam's latest Arcade Corner segment on the LBX show a week and a half ago, LBX show number 26, when he talked about the UFC attraction, I'll call it, it really is. It's like a full attraction going into a couple of Dave & Buster's. That is a much better fit for the existing Dave & Buster's brand, eat, play, watch, and I don't know, whatever, like I can't remember, drink. Thank you. Eat, play, drink, watch. And so this falls into that play category, obviously sort of the social bays, but it's a very different type of play versus the quick card swipe, compete the UFC level. A bunch of guys get, have some drinks, they get a little bit tipsy, they want to go play and, see who can fight better on UFC. It's a much better alignment with the Dave & Buster's I think if they were to lean a little bit more into that area than the social bay area, it would make a lot more sense if they didn't want to go through a heavy lift around the rebranding and repositioning that I think Dave & Buster's would need to do if they continue to go down the social bay angle.
And this kind of pivots to the core reason for this slide, which is I think it is important for Dave & Buster's to remember what made them popular to start with and to understand what their audience wants to play. Rather than trying to force a square peg into a round hole, maybe they should be pivoting towards what their audience, their core audience, wants to do. And I agree with you, the UFC system on the surface seems to embody more of what the boys want to do on the game floor, want to do after they've watched the latest sports, what they want to do for their Friday activities, more than the competitive socializing environment that has to fight over the noise of the live performances and all of the midway machines. That said, I still feel that the UFC system, from what I've seen of it, needs a little bit more time in the oven to make it much more applicable to the Dave & Buster's audience. I would have even argued that they should have built two versions of this. One version that is purely for the Dave & Buster's audience, and then maybe one aimed for a younger audience, maybe not with the UFC branding, but maybe with a competitive branding that could have gone into main event. As these lost opportunities and this inability to understand that they're in the entertainment industry rather than in the restaurant industry. Eatertainment has tainment in it for a reason. I'm not here to bury the previous management. Their interim CEO has already done that. What I'm saying now is, in picking up the pieces, they must be careful to keep the good as well as getting rid of the bad. That kind of wraps it up for me, unless there's anything else you'd like to touch upon.
No, it was excellent. Another great sound off, number 72 wrap up. Thanks, Kevin, as always, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Have a safe one.